Welcome to the world of TrendPod AI. Today we're embarking on a deep dive into the extraordinary life of an individual who embodies quiet strength, unwavering vision, and incredible resilience. Sudha Murty.
Indeed. And our sources, interviews, biographical insights, they really unveil this truly multifaceted personality.
Right.
She's an engineer who broke barriers, a beloved author. Over 90 books.
90, wow.
Yeah, a passionate philanthropist, and of course, the foundational support behind Infosys. Huge name in software consulting.
Absolutely. So our mission in this deep dive is really to unpack the remarkable journey of Sudha Murty. We want to explore those profound influences from her early life, the values she was given, the challenging start of Infosys, and her inspiring role today as well a respected public figure and humanitarian. We're aiming to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, maybe some surprising facts from her incredible story. So as we begin, what immediately jumps out at you about her early life?
Well, what's really fascinating here is just how deeply rooted her foundational values were. They were cultivated right from her earliest days. Born August 19th, 1950, in Shigan, Karnataka. She was raised by her surgeon father, schoolteacher mother, and also her maternal grandparents.
Okay.
And these childhood experiences, they actually directly informed her famous work, How I Taught My Grandmother to Read, really highlights that family impact.
It's clear her upbringing was so foundational. If we dive a bit deeper into those early influences, what specific values did her grandparents instill that really set her apart, you think?
Well, her grandparents, described as extremely pious, they instilled some really powerful practical lessons. Her grandfather, apparently he rarely left Karnataka. He taught her the importance of showing respect by never using a singular for anyone.
Even a child?
Even a child, yeah. And respecting the Atma inside, the true self or soul within everyone. It's a core concept in Indian philosophy. He also taught her about the dangers of addiction, even for simple things like tea or coffee. Yeah, and it's a lesson she credits for never tasting either, even today.
Wow.
It's quite profound, isn't it? That lesson on humility, inherent worth, suggests this fundamental respect for every single individual, no matter their status or age.
That level of discipline, that respect, right from childhood.
Yeah.
It's truly noteworthy. How do you think those seemingly small, consistent lessons, like avoiding even minor addictions, might have prepared her for the huge sacrifices she'd make later?
That consistency certainly built a strong inner core, I'd say. And complementing her grandparents, her father, a doctor, and interestingly, an atheist, he taught her that God is not in the temple, church, or masjid.
Okay.
God is always with the patient if you help poor people.
Powerful.
And her mother emphasized good habits, like a daily routine, writing 25 lines, performing namaskar, that traditional Indian greeting,
Right, the gesture of respect.
Exactly. And also to avoid being a spendthrift. So these practical values, combined with her teacher Rendra's advice to love mathematics as the queen of all subjects, well, it laid a really robust groundwork for both her intellectual and ethical development.
That's such a powerful philosophy from her father, that practical altruism. It kind of moves beyond dogma, defining purpose through service. How could listeners maybe apply that idea, finding meaning in everyday compassion, even if they don't share his specific views?
Yeah, it's really about shifting focus, isn't it? From maybe ritual to action. It suggests that true divinity, or maybe purpose, can be found in the tangible impact you have on others.
Right.
Especially those in need. It's a very secular yet still profound call to action. Reminds us that contributing to human well-being is, a universal good.
And her academic journey was just as trailblazing. In 1972, she was the only girl in her university graduating with an Eng in computer science from the India Institute of Science. That was after her Bang in electrical and electronics engineering. Given the era, how significant was that for a woman in India?
Oh, incredibly significant. In 1970s, India, higher education, particularly engineering, computer science, it was overwhelmingly male-dominated. So being the only girl in her university for such advanced degrees, that wasn't just a personal achievement, it was like a quiet revolution.
Yeah.
It signaled her intellectual prowess, sure, but also her determination to forge her own path in these traditionally male fields.
And her path continued breaking barriers professionally too, didn't it?
Absolutely. She became the first female engineer hired at Tata Engineering and Locomotive Company, Telco.
Telco, right.
And this wasn't by chance. She boldly wrote a postcard to the company's chairman.
No way.
Yeah, complaining about their men-only gender bias. As a result, she got a special interview, hired immediately as a development engineer in Pune. Later worked in Mumbai, Jamshedpur. This pioneering spirit continued. She later joined Walchand Group of Industries as a senior systems analyst.
Wow.
Her proactive stance against discrimination so early in her career, it really speaks volumes about her character.
That's a powerful lesson in advocating for yourself, challenging the status quo. So, moving from her professional trailblazing, her personal life took a fascinating turn. How did her path cross with Narayana Murthy? What was their initial dynamic like?
They met in Pune, actually through a mutual friend. Apparently, Sudha had this preconceived image of him from books he'd lent her.
Okay, expecting someone different maybe?
Probably. But she found him to be shy, bespectacled, and introvert. And their first dinner invitation, where she was the only girl in the group, she initially declined it.
Really?
Yeah, an unconventional start to what became, a legendary partnership.
And their courtship, from what I understand, was equally unconventional. Murty didn't exactly present himself as the ideal suitor, did he?
He certainly didn't mince words. In proposing, Murty didn't shy away from highlighting what he saw as his negatives.
Like what?
He said he was 5'4" sack tall from a lower middle class family, believed he could never become rich, dreamt of building an orphanage while being a wannabe politician and a communist. Then he just asked, "Will you marry me?"
If like that.
Yeah. A very frank, very honest approach to a life-changing question.
Yeah.
Just laid all his cards on the table.
That level of blunt honesty, even in a marriage proposal, it tells you a lot about his character. But her father, definitely unimpressed. What was that initial reaction like to this self-proclaimed communist with no steady job?
Oh, her father was quite wary. Yeah. Didn't want his daughter marrying a communist with no steady job. There's this memorable anecdote about Murty missing their first scheduled meeting stuck in a traffic jam.
Oh, no.
Hired an expensive taxi, showed up late wearing a bright red shirt, which apparently further displeased her father.
Sounds like a scene from a movie. Not the best first impression.
Not exactly the charming first impression you'd hope for with your potential father-in-law, no.
So how did this tension between Murty and her father play out?
Well, the stalemate actually continued for 3 years.
3 years.
3 years. And during their courtship, Murty was often broke. He apparently accumulated a debt of over Rs 4,000 to Sudha.
Which was a significant amount back then.
Oh yeah, roughly $500, $600 USD equivalent today, maybe? A fair bit. She meticulously recorded it in a little book.
She kept track.
She did. But then she tore it up after their wedding.
Oh.
Despite the financial struggles, her father's initial disapproval, Sudha's liking for Murty just deepened into love. She was drawn by his honesty, perhaps recognized his vision, beneath that unconventional exterior. It says a lot about her discerning nature, what she truly valued.
So despite all the challenges, they did eventually marry. February 10th, 1978. Simple ceremony at Murty's house in Bangalore, just the two families. The whole wedding cost just Rs 800, which was incredibly modest even then, maybe 10, 15 USD.
Something like that, yeah. Tiny amount. Sudha even got her very first silk sari then.
And then came an unexpected adventure, right?
Yes. Afterwards, she went to the U.S. with Murty, backpacking for 3 months.
Backpacking?
Yeah. And it was during this trip that New York police actually took her into custody, mistook her for an Italian drug trafficker.
You're kidding. What happened?
Well, the details are a bit hazy in the sources, but it certainly adds an unexpected layer to their early years together. A bit crazy.
That is quite an unexpected turn during a, sort of honeymoon trip. It reminds us how unpredictable life can be, even for future titans of industry. How do you think experiences like that outside the business world might have contributed to their resilience as a couple?
That's a great point. Experiences like that, those moments of unexpected challenge, shared vulnerability, they often forge a deeper bond, don't they?
Yeah.
They learn to navigate uncertainty together, which undoubtedly prepared them for the immense risks and, the unpredictable nature of starting a company from scratch. It builds trust, a shared sense of overcoming obstacles.
And that leads us right to the real turning point, perhaps the greatest act of selflessness. When Narayana Murthy wanted to start Infosys in 1981, he had the vision, but critically...
Zero capital.
Exactly, zero capital. So what specific decision did Sudha Murty make at this absolutely critical moment? And what does it reveal about her entrepreneurial spirit, her belief in his dream?
This was the moment of truth, really. Sudha Murty, despite having, a comfortable life, a promising career as a senior systems analyst, she decided to back his entrepreneurial dream. She gave him Artie's $10,000 she had saved without his knowledge initially.
Her entire savings?
Her savings. And told him, this is all I have. Take it. I give you 3 years sabbatical leave.
Wow, a deadline too.
A deadline. I will take care of the financial needs of our house. You go and chase your dreams without any worry. But you have only 3 years.
That's just an extraordinary leap of faith, an incredible show of commitment.
Absolutely. So in 1982, she left her job at Telco. Their small house in Pune, the one on a loan, literally became the Infosys office.
The first office.
The first office. She candidly describes herself as a clerk cum cook cum programmer during this period.
Doing it all.
Doing it all, even taking up another job to support the household. It just highlights the sheer grit required in those early startup days, especially with such limited resources. The whole family was completely immersed in the venture.
And the challenges just kept coming. When Infosys got its first client in Bangalore in '83, Murty moved there. Sudha, having just delivered their second child, Rohan, back in Hubli, couldn't join Murty in the U.S. for over a year because Rohan had infantile eczema.
Right. She couldn't even step outside her home for fear of infection. The personal sacrifices were just immense.
These really were.
But the ultimate sacrifice, perhaps, came when Murty established this crucial rule for the fledgling company. Only one of them could work at Infosys.
Why?
To ensure 100% focus, he argued. Despite Nandan Nilekani actually suggesting she join the board.
Oh, interesting.
Murty stood firm, said he didn't want a husband and wife team. Sudha was shocked, felt her qualifications were obviously relevant.
Of course.
But Murty's resolve was absolute. He apparently said, Sudha, if you want to work with Infosys, I will withdraw happily, which led her to step back.
That's an incredibly difficult choice, especially given her own impressive qualifications, her passion for the early company. While it clearly paid off for Infosys, do you think there was any alternative? Or was that one person at Infosys rule truly the only path back then?
It's hard to say for sure, but it was a very common, almost unwritten rule in the Indian startup scene at the time, particularly for founding couples.
Right.
The immense demands of a startup, especially one pioneering a whole new industry like software services, it often meant one partner just had to provide that stable anchor for the family, for the kids. So while it was undoubtedly a painful personal sacrifice for Sudha, it likely ensured Murty could pour every single ounce of his energy into Infosys. Without the added complexities of a spousal dynamic within that tiny, nascent company structure, it probably provided the clarity, the focus they needed to survive.
So, though pained, she understood the necessity of one parent dedicating themselves to home and children while the other focused entirely on the company. She chose to be the homemaker, recognizing Infosys was Murty's dream. Murty himself has acknowledged her pivotal role, hasn't he? Saying, Sudha, I stepped on your career to make mine. You were responsible for my success.
He has. It truly showcases the depth of their partnership, their mutual respect, even facing such a difficult personal choice.
Yeah.
It's a powerful example, isn't it? How support and sacrifice from one partner can be absolutely foundational to the other's public success.
Definitely.
So, having made that pivotal sacrifice for Infosys Foundation, Sudha Murty then went on to build her own remarkable, impactful legacy. She became the founder chairperson of the Infosys Foundation, that public charitable trust established in 1996. She retired from it in 2020. This was her new chapter, where her passion for philanthropy really blossomed.
It's incredible how she channeled those foundational values into this new avenue. And this is also where her prolific writing career just takes off, right? An astounding 92 books.
92. In almost every Indian language. Novels, nonfiction, travelogues, technical books, memoirs.
Wow.
She was even a columnist for both English and Canada newspapers. What motivates that sheer volume across so many genres?
Yeah, director.
Your motivation seems to stem from this deep desire to share knowledge, values, stories, particularly those rooted in Indian culture and wisdom, and to do it in an accessible way. A lot of her books are for children, simplifying complex ideas. This body of work, it's really a testament to her dedication to literature as a tool for education, for cultural preservation. Reflects that teacher instilled in her by her mother, perhaps.
Beyond the literary contributions, her philanthropy is just vast. She's credited with single-handedly evangelizing the move towards corporate social responsibility, CSR, in India.
That's huge.
Yeah. Worked for a decade, changing lives of children in rural Karnataka, providing food, education, founded numerous orphanages, supported the movement to get computers and libraries into all Karnataka government schools.
And she also established the Murty Classical Library of India at Harvard University.
Right. And she's a member of the Gates Foundation's public health care initiatives. Her influence just spans education, healthcare, rural development.
And her immense contributions have earned her significant accolades. The Padma Shri in 2006, the Padma Bhushan in 2023, two of India's highest civilian awards.
The Padma Shri for Distinguished Service and the Padma Bhushan for Distinguished Service of a High Order, recognizing her social work, her contributions to education, literature.
Exactly. And surprisingly, she's even made cameo appearances in films. A Marathi film, Pitrurun, a Kannada film, Prathana.
No kidding.
Yeah. It's clear her impact extends even into popular culture, reaching audiences in really diverse ways.
So throughout her life, Sudha Murty has cultivated this profound personal philosophy. She defines a good life as a contented life.
Content.
One without regrets, where a person has contributed positively to family, society, country. It's simple, but deep. Emphasizes contribution over just accumulation. How does she suggest listeners can achieve this contented life?
She offers very practical guidance, actually. She shares fascinating insights on what makes a life happy, engaging in work that's useful to society,
Okay.
personally uplifting, and intellectually stimulating. And she finds contentment if she achieves even 80% of her daily goals.
Only 80%. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's a powerful lesson, I think, in setting realistic expectations. Finding joy and purposeful effort rather than striving for some unattainable perfection.
That's a great principle for navigating the pressures of modern life. Now, on the concept of the meaning of life, she believes it's entirely subjective. A personal marathon each individual runs based on their own experiences. How does her husband's perspective compare, and what does that contrast reveal about their partnership?
Well, for her husband, Murty, life seems defined by passion.
Yeah.
100% dedication to creating wealth for the nation, generating jobs, uplifting people from lower economic levels.
Very different focus.
Very different. He believes respect is earned by demonstrating capability. So it's contrast, yeah. Sudha emphasizing contentment, inner contribution, Murty focusing on external impact, demonstrable capability.
Right.
Yet both seem rooted in deep purpose, and their ability to respect, maybe even leverage, these differing approaches seems key to their enduring partnership.
This raises an important question for many listeners. What about the role of romance in relationships in a life filled with such deep purpose?
She's quite clear on this. She states, life is bigger than romance.
Interesting.
While romance is a part of youth, she says real life is hard, offers no concessions for disease, old age. Marriage, in her view, is about facing life together, accepting each other's package, the positives, the negatives, learning to adjust, consistently moving forward. Her mantra is, forgive is okay, forget is better, move on is the best.
Wow. That's remarkably practical. Profound, too, on enduring partnerships, emphasizing resilience, mutual commitment over maybe fleeting romantic ideals.
Exactly, and she defines her own life as adventurous, marked by patience, sacrifice, and unconditional love for her husband, children, company, and for helping others.
This self-perception, despite her extraordinary achievements, it's truly remarkable, especially when she attributes her grounded nature to genuinely considering herself an ordinary person. What's the power in seeing oneself as ordinary despite achieving so much?
I think it allows her to remain humble, accessible. It probably means she rarely gets upset, maintains this consistently positive outlook. She believes courage, not money, is the true source of happiness.
Courage fuels hope.
Courage fuels hope, exactly. This humility, this self-perception of being ordinary, it likely enables her to connect with people from all walks of life, fuels her philanthropy, the relatability of her writing. It's a powerful paradox, isn't it? Extraordinary achievement stemming from an ordinary self-view.
She's also addressed generational differences, suggesting that while younger generations have more information, more luxury, this prosperity can lead to, maybe, a lack of valuing things, ever-increasing expectations, making small rejections feel like major setbacks.
That resilience factor.
Right, and her personal mantra, so what if I lost the battle? I lived the war. This long-term resilient perspective is so powerful. For listeners facing their own modern challenges, how can they adopt this live the war mindset?
It's really about shifting focus, isn't it? From the immediate setbacks to the long-term goals, the core values. It encourages perseverance, resilience. Understanding that individual battles, those minor failures, disappointments, they're just part of the larger war, the life journey.
Right.
By internalizing that mantra, you learn to see challenges as temporary, not defining. Allows you to maintain hope, keep moving toward your ultimate vision, much like she clearly did throughout her entire life.
And her poignant advice to her 20-year-old self kind of encapsulates so much of this wisdom. She'd advise learning swimming or a sport, and yoga, which apparently wasn't widely available then.
Interesting practical advice.
Yeah, she'd say focus intently on what you want to do. Be ethical, be honest in all your pursuits, and critically respect and carefully consider the advice of elders.
Why elders specifically?
Because it stems from their unique, hard-earned life experiences, she says, not just new ideas. It's a blend of self-improvement, integrity, and that intergenerational wisdom that feels incredibly timeless.
It truly does. It's advice that really transcends specific eras, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Emphasizing health, focus, integrity, and the invaluable resource of accumulated wisdom.
What a journey. And what an extraordinary individual. Sudha Murty's story isn't just about building a company. It's about building a life steeped in enduring values, profound sacrifice, and this unwavering commitment to making a positive impact on the world. She truly exemplifies the power of quiet strength and indomitable spirit.
It's such a powerful reminder. Behind every significant success, there are often these unseen sacrifices, an immense amount of courage. Her life offers an incredible blueprint, really, for cultivating contentment and finding deep purpose, even in a world, filled with information overload and constant external pressures.
So for you, our listener, we hope this deep dive into Sudha Murty's life leaves you with a similar sense of peace, maybe hope, as it did for us. Consider what battles you might be facing today, and how focusing on the war, your long-term vision, your core values, can truly lead to enduring fulfillment. Thank you.